Hi there, Griggs 3D artist at Autodesk, and just to cover how to create these instant sphere renders using Bifrost and rendered in Arnold. Basically, millions of spheres are instanced along some strands that are being influenced by fractal turbulence field. Okay, so I'm going to start off by opening up the Bifrost graph editor and then create a graph. So let's create a sphere to grow the strands to start off with. So let's create a mesh sphere and just increase the radius quite high, something like 100. And then we need to create a vector field scope to generate the flow lines for the strands. The sphere mesh into the probe geometry of the vector field scope. This time we're going to use a fractal turbulence field for the vector field scope. And I'm going to scale up the effect, just increase the magnitude and the number of frequencies to get a more interesting effect. And I'm going to scale up the effect using a scale field. Just put the noise field into the scale field and the scale field into the vector field. And then we need to enable the flow lines, display flow lines, and increase the flow line length to around 10. And increase the scale field, something like 40. To give us this effect. Now I need to set the strand size profile to generate the strands. So now we've generated the strands, we need to instance the spheres along those strands. So let's create instances. That strands the points and instances won't. We'll use a terminal now because we're going to be creating a lot of sphere instances which could slow up the viewport. Plug the instance into the final and the proxy for now to view to the viewport. So by default it's creating these point spheres, but we're going to create a sphere ourselves so that we can adjust it independently. So we create mesh sphere and plug that into the instance geometries of the create instances. So if we wanted to, we can adjust the sphere, the radius of the sphere, like so. Or we could also do it through the set strands profile by adjusting the factor of the strand. So the number of strands are being determined by the input sphere that we used for the probe geometry. So if it's to increase the number of axis segments, we generate more strands, which would also generate more spheres because they're instanced along those strands. So let's start off our render. Let's create a assign a new material, standard surface, and just increase the metalness and lower the base color a bit. And then we need to create a skyline light. And connect a file texture to the color. I'm going to use this HDR. I'll put a link to the description here, which you can download. And then just increase the number of samples for final rendering, the skyline light, and set off the render in the viewport. It may take a moment for Bifrost to generate and export the spheres because there's millions of spheres instanced along these strands. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce camera visibility to 0 and in settings just add a ray switch to the background. A lighter colour, white. Okay, so now it's just a matter of instancing more spheres, so to do that you need to increase the number of axis segments. So at the moment we've only got 100. Just bear in mind that the more strands you create, the more instances you create, the longer it's going to take to generate and the more memory it's going to require. Okay, so finally I've increased the number of axis segments of the input sphere, which has generated a lot more strands, and by doing so has created a lot more instance spheres in the viewport here. And I've also added some depth of field and a denoiser imager. Okay then, thanks for watching and bye for now.